everyone. Thank you for the time that's given to me. Before we started our presentation, let me introduce ourselves first. First, my name is Nityananda Yadnya. As a first speaker, and the second speaker is Anak Agung, Gede, Suarjaya, Putra. The third speaker is Anak Agung, Nyoman, Nadiartono, and the last speaker is Anom, Karsanata. Today we are going to present about our material. This is about acquisition when I was a child. As we know, language acquisition is a process of perceive, produce, and use a word to communicate. It involves capacity of syntax, phonetic, and unintensive vocabulary. The children successfully learning a first language without any formal lesson needed. Then, the children acquire the language, especially mother tongue, so quickly and easy by imitating their environment. And we are going to talk about no language but a cry. As we know, cry is not about communicative only. It is about directly signal to both language or human symbolic communication and speech spoken language. In the real case, actually baby crying at the last of few month. It is a kind of language without speech sound. After several weeks, the baby starting to coo, making a soft gargling sound seeming to express statification. When the child is 6 months, it's called babbling. Stage which produce a few and somewhat random consonant and vowel to express something. For those explanation, the baby crying or giggling because they are communicate to the parent or want to express something like that. For example, the baby crying because they hungry and the parent will give milk and then the baby stop crying. For this case, this is related with the Skinner theory about verbal behavior. He said applied a functional analysis approach to analyze language behavior in terms of the natural occurrence in response to environmental circumstances. And in that case, we can find the verbal operand in that case is a baby or cry, and the reinforcement is the mild, and the response for the parents is parent gives the milk, and the response for baby is stop crying. Okay, that's all about the first material. We move to the second topic or the second material.
Well, thank you for the chance that given to me. I will continue about the second material. It's about first word. First word is a language acquisition in 1 year old by the baby in learning language of a child which as the climax of producing a word. In this material, there is a theory by Jean Piaget about ecocentrism. Ecocentrism involves animism, which refers to young children's tendency to consider everything, including inanimate objects, as being alive. Language is considered egocentric because they see things purely from their own perspective. Well, in this material about the first word, there is example. Because the children tend to use their own perspective, so in naming things, they produce random consonant and vowel like mama is for mother, and dada is for daddy or father. Okay, thank you. That's all about my presentation. We'll continue by my friend.
Okay, thank you very much for the time. I will continue the presentation. This for the cognitive theory. I have one theory of the birth of the grammar. Is the Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist that was famous for his four stage of cognitive development for children, which included the development of language. The children do not think like adults, so before the children development the language, they must first actively construct their own understanding of the world. I have one example for this theory. The sounds acquisition of language that the single word like milk, ma, and papa. And then, for example, when the son feel hungry or thirsty, the son will be dropped his glass, or the son can be cry for to get for to get a milk. And then I have one holoplastic stage. This when the children use a word to request a things or use a certain movement that represent what the children want. And then the last is the case of Psycholinguistics book by Thomas Scofield have a relationship between Piaget's co- cognitive language that state there are four states that children must be through when acquiring a language. The relationship of the case only with the stage 1 and 2 of Piaget. Cognitive language cognitive language acquisition. There is sensory motor period. These children are born with action schemas to assimilate information about the world, such as shaking or grasping. During the sensory motor period, children language is egocentric, and they talk either for themselves or for the pleasure of associating anyone who happen to be there with the activity of the moment. And then the second is pre-operational period. This in this theory that happen in 2 years until 7 years old. The children language make rapid progress and the development of their mental schema lets them quickly accommodate new word and situation. I think that's all about the bird.
Okay, I will continue the presentation about childish creativity. Children construct the grammatical, such as create a regular past tense and then ending for irregular verb. Also, children recognize an irregular verb, which is they jettison the regular past tense and ending that they have acquired. It is not the error of the children, but the language, because it is already attached to their own grammatical pattern. So that this is a process of creative construction in which children active to construct their grammar according to what they have learned and what they can reasonable to assume. which means when the children want to use a past tense, they just uh, they just pattern their own word or their own sentences with their creativity. I have theories, theories for this statement. Uh, the usage name is usage based theory from Tomasello in 2003, which is said that the usage based theory of language stated that children initially build up or develop their language by construction, the grammatical, through their own words or frames that they have heard and used. Construction usually become general and abstract during the 2 to 4 years in life, and this theory is closely allied with the cognitive linguistic and construction grammar of children. I have some example for this children's creativity. The first example is children come out to create their own words like this. First word is read it. When children use word read and they want to use a past tense, they just change the the word read into readed by just adding ed. Then it is wrong. It is should be read. And the second example is good. Go ahead. Go ahead is a wrong word. The children's uh, express or using their creativity to change or to make past tense a past form of go by just adding ed also. Then and it is very wrong. It is should be when. The third example is eat it, and it should be ate. I have another example. The specific example. For example, uh, there is a conversation between doctor and mother. The doctor said that, "Mom, a person at the door," and the mother said that there is nobody at the door. And then the doctor said, "There's yes body at the door," which is mean yes body. Yes body is totally wrong. But uh, there is not a problem with the kid with the children. What the problem is in the language that they that the children use their creativity to say there is somebody at the door, and then they just say by using yes body. And then I will continue. My presentation is about evidence for inattentiveness. Evidence for inattentiveness. These statements means that the children don't just learn a language or a linguistic from the external influence of their environment, but the children also can learn a linguistic by their own language acquisition device or they just biologically have that have or has that linguistic. I have two theories from Chomsky with related with this statement, evidence for innatedness. The first theory said that early linguistic early linguistic learning just come from innately specified language ability in human beings, which is mean uh, the children's early learned linguistic just come from innately just come from innately, or in Indonesia we can say that uh, pembawaan or the character or the nature of the children's that bring their own linguistic after he born, and the specified language which is here means that they just bring or have or by their nature learn about the children's mother tongue. Specified language mean the mother tongues of the children, and they just innately have or bring that specified language by their ability in human beings. And the second theories is from they said that children's inborn children inborn children inborn language acquisition is biologically determined, which is mean after the children born they acquire their linguistic, or they acquire their language just biologically determined. I have an example for those theories. Like the children was born, and after the children born they are crying, or yeah, they are crying, the children are crying, then that is that is biologically or innately just have or bring or nature by the children's, because no one have teach children to cry, no one can teach children to cry, they just bring bring that talent or skill by their own, or innately have that skill or character, or we can say that by character or nature. And I have a similar those theories have a similarity, which is all these theories will refers to LED, or language acquisition device of the children. Okay, okay, I think that's all about our presentation. Okay, thank you for the time, and